Thank you very much. I think the key message already been delivered by the previous speakers, and especially the last two lines of Professor Saeed Hamid's were the key for the elimination. इन्होंने कितनी अच्छी बात की है कि आप एक तरफ तो डायग्नोज कीजिए, ट्रीट कीजिए, और दूसरी तरफ से पूल में मज़ीद मरीज़ भरते चले जाइए, बिकॉज अगर प्रिवेंशन नहीं होगी तो द डायलेमा ऑफ हेपेटाइटिस बी और सी, जो हमारे मुल्क का एक बहुत ही बड़ा डायलेमा है, वो आज 2030 is 11 years down the road, हम फिर बैठ के ये चीज़ें डिस्कस कर रहे होंगे जो आज कर रहे हैं. So I think that is where we stand today, and it's already been told to us by others as well, and we already know that there are millions of people infected with hepatitis B and C, and the estimate of 400 million is already set about. But this figure 400 million is not absolute. It's a figure which is a modeling figure, comes from various sources. Unfortunately, and very unfortunately, it produces the 7th leading cause of death, largely neglected until recently. And the recently is the 69th WHO meeting. In 194 governments, in fact, committed themselves that by 2030 we may be able to eliminate hepatitis B and C. Elimination doesn't mean eradication. It just means that we have eliminated, and we need to be providing constant surveillance so that we do not add to the pool of hepatitis B and C. It doesn't disappear from this universe. It's eliminated, but a constant surveillance continues. And needs have to be intensified and expanded. Response, scale up of interventions. Already, Professor Masood Siddiq and others have contributed to scaling up. जो इस वक्त के हालात हैं वो मुनासिब नहीं है, so we have to add more and more and more diagnostics, more and more patients to the pool, more and more treatment, so otherwise we would still be struggling. Around 5% of the patients, unfortunately, are diagnosed in low-income settings. 5% or less. 95% को तो पता ही नहीं है कि अभी हमें हेपेटाइटिस किसी भी किस्म का है या नहीं है. And हम लोग लो एंड उसी कैटेगरी में है ना, unfortunately. Less than 1% are likely to be aware of their diagnosis. These are all validated figures. ये सिर्फ लिखने की बात नहीं है. So this is something which is a true entity. Elimination goals, already we know that 90%, ये less than 5% से आपको 90% तक की figures लेके आनी है, और यहाँ के भी हालात ऐसे हैं. Facilities or services for hepatitis testing are few. Nobody can deny this fact. Hepatitis surveillance programs to inform the epidemiological situations are weak or not existent, non-existent. Laboratory capacities are also poor. ये एक general statement है, कराची के लिए नहीं, हैदराबाद के लिए नहीं, but हमारे मुल्क के लिए और low income countries के लिए. Diagnostic assays and algorithms are costly and complex, and there is limited patient and community engagement. WHO is struggling globally, especially in the low income groups and rural settings, but they have produced these wonderful drafts, and all of you can have access to it if you are interested, rather than doing anything else, to just have at least a glance, if not, or at least the tables of these reports, because they give you a great insight into what the world community largely believes in and wants us to contribute as healthcare providers. So there are guidelines for all these things are available. The aim is to expand access to testing for hepatitis B and C, who to test, how to test, when to start treatment, and was the treatment effective. The last bullet is very, very important again. It's not just I diagnose and I treat. I have to confirm the fact that the infection has gone, or infection is still there, and I might have to alter my treatment strategies in laboratories and at point of care. Testing strategies for HCV. Detect the HCV exposure. That's your step one. Presence of antibodies to HCV is very important, and this is your body's reaction to hepatitis C infection. Unfortunately, in primary care, what we see routinely is that C antibodies are checked again and again. 4 साल पहले patient का इलाज हो चुका है, 8 साल पहले हो चुका है, बीमारी ठीक हो चुकी है, लेकिन patient का सिर्फ HCV antibody आप बार-बार check कर रहे हैं, which is not going to disappear. You have produced antibodies against the infection. The infection is gone, antibodies are there. So do not keep on checking antibodies. अगर आपको relapse का या किसी चीज़ का खतरा है कि इन्फेक्शन दोबारा से हो गया है या कोई रीज़न है, तो फिर आप PCR के ज़रिए इसका दोबारा इन्फेक्शन को डिटेक्ट कर सकते हैं. Diagnose active HCV infection that requires antiviral treatment, which means the presence of hepatitis C virus itself, and confirm that treatment has worked, or cure absence of HCV virus itself. What about the B problem? Detect chronic HBV infection. Presence of surface antigen confirms the fact that you have hepatitis B. Why not look for antibodies to HBV because of immunization? So, अगर हमारी बचपन में या किसी भी वक्त immunization हुआ है, how do we confirm कि हुआ था या नहीं हुआ था, या हमें ज़रूरत है या नहीं है? The surface antigen and surface antibody doing together would decide the issue, especially in the adult population. Determine if antiviral treatment is needed, presence of hepatitis B virus itself, and the functionality of the liver. यहाँ liver function test की भी importance है. What is the ALT and AST? It's not just the DNA of the virus, because the hepatitis B passes through at least 4 stages, and we know there is an infective stage where you have HBV infection, but it's not hepatitis, and you have an HBV infection and hepatitis, and you need treatment for that. Confirm that treatment has worked, which means that suppression of the hepatitis B virus itself to undetectable level, and the ALT and the AST, which are the 2 major enzymes that you look at, have come back or returned to normal. Where does WHO pre-qualification fit? Professor Hamid has already told you the pre-qualification. WHO pre-qualifies lots of vendors, lots of testing things, lots of generic manufacturers that their products are good and you and I can use them safely because their API or the active ingredient is good enough for us to take care of it just like the original product. So WHO is really working behind the scenes for all of us to guarantee that this test is good enough or this product is good enough for us to use. So there are several ways that they do it. And of course, what happens is that measuring performance of diagnostics, ये diagnostic test, point of care अभी जिक्र हुआ है and all that. So we need to know कि ये test हमारे लिए, हमारे patient के लिए, जैसे blood transfusion का Professor Hamid जिक्र कर रहे थे कि is it that you know the antigen testing is important or the PCR, जो कि कोई भी laboratory पाकिस्तान में नहीं कर रही, including our Khan, where HCV is checked by PCR before a blood transfusion. This is called molecular testing, and it makes the transfusion itself that expensive, which would incorporate the testing of HCV RNA. The ability of the test to identify a person as positive who is truly positive. If a test has poor sensitivity, it will make many false negative results. Specificity. The ability of the test to identify a person as negative who is truly negative, that is your specificity. If a test has poor specificity, it will have many false positive results. Stability, how long is the test stable and at what temperature? These are all very, very valid points. WHO pre-qualifies independently, reviews safety, quality, performance of diagnostics for hepatitis B and C. WHO pre-qualification is similar to regulatory approval. It can be used in settings where regulation of diagnostics is poorly implemented. So हमारे माहौल में इसकी और ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है because regulations and all those rules are just piece of paper and nothing else. WHO pre-qualification is also used by UN agencies and governments to make procurement decisions. So that is how the pre-qualification process starts. And once it's gone through all these phases, WHO looks at us and then we can use that test, which is diagnostic test, or a vendor that is supplying it. What happens after the WHO pre-qualification listing? Joint UN tender for agreed pricing. So prices और ये जिसको ये लोग pre-qualify करेंगे उसको इस तरह तो होगा कि wider scale पे आप उसको use कर सकें. A common poor country or a low income country can also use it. WHO doesn't mean कि ये America या EU की बात हो रही है. This is for countries like us where affordability is a major masla. WHO makes sure the manufacturer conducts post-marketing surveillance, including dealing with complaints and vigilance. WHO is notified if any changes are made to the product or the manufacturing site. So ये सब चीज़ें उनके उसमें दायरे अमल में हैं WHO के before pre-qualifications, and after pre-qualification again the surveillance continues. So access to HCV diagnostics is to facilitate access. Health system needs to provide the following. If there is a health ministry, there is a health system, in fact, which is working diligently